counter the Saw. Tribe, unlike Rogue, going to be going for the dive composition.
Yeah, going to be looking to just try and get on top of Saw all the time. Force him to use that roadie run because it's likely to be a weapon power Saw. So if you force him to use the roadie run, that resets his stacks of spin up and all of a sudden drastically decreases the damage that can come out. So now Rogue may have to consider the idea of going for a Crystal Saw, but it looks like that may not happen because Blackfeather coming through, although it could with Pawn the Original. Pawn the Original is in the jungle for them this game. They have made that change, so it's going to be definitely intriguing to see who ends up with what.
The Grace pick up last for Tribe instead of something like a Catherine or even a Lyra who was still open. I think they could have done better with the Lyra, the sustain, and the portals to get right on top of him. Regardless, Max Green has been performing exceptionally on this Grace. He goes for an Echo and then gets a Shatter Glass on top of it later on, so his heals are a lot more significant and a lot more impactful. Very interesting compositions.
Absolutely. And that Grace heal as well can be incredibly effective against the likes of something like a Saw. That 30% damage reduction while you're using that Divine Intervention could be the difference between your carry surviving and going down.
Yeah, not to mention his Holy Novas have been on point these past couple of days, so expect big plays out of Max Green. You're going to have to keep your eyes on where this Grace is at all times during this fight. And it can be very easy to kind of lose track of where the Grace is when you're trying to focus on where the Alpha is as well as something like a Rona.
All right, well, we've got a very aggressive composition coming out from Tribe. They're looking like they want to really end this series. Do we think that's going to be enough to take out this Saw from Hammy? Because Hammy played a blinder on Saw in the semifinals.
He really did, but the Rona and the Alpha are going to be so strong at diving on him. You just want to get on top of him and spin. However, Hammy does go for a Sour Blade Serpent's Mask, and that sustain could help him survive.
We'll see if he can survive these fights. It's time to jump on into this one. Hashtag Vainglory on Twitter. Let us know whether you want Rogue to come back into the series or if you think Tribe can 2-0 this one. It's time to pass it back over to Humanist and Dowsy and get into game number 2.
Well, that's right. Game 2 in your Week 3 finals between Rogue and Tribe. Tribe up 1 game in this series. I love Munchables. And Dowsy, do you think Rogue can make the Saw win?
I mean, I think that they will be desperately wanting to do so here. They don't want to lose this finals week 2-0 to Tribe and kind of lose their opportunity to build a point lead over their North American opponents. Kind of would hurt their ability to secure a chance at Worlds. Do see a Crystal Power Blackfeather coming out for Pawn the Original here, which will provide a bit of poke, try and chunk down, but I don't really think that that Rogue are ever going to get the opportunity to poke with this composition, unless of course they hold T-Tigers and DNZO at bay. This is a super aggressive composition from Tribe. They want to dive this Saw as hard as possible, and maybe call me crazy here, Humanist.
You're crazy.
Perhaps watching a little bit too much of East Asia, but this would be the game, if any, that you would pull out the Aftershock Blackfeather. It's super popular in East Asia. They love to build it due to the fact that Aftershock is a super strong item. The max health damage means that you chunking down these tanky targets in 2.9. Considering the lineup that Tribe has, Aftershock Dragon's Eye could be a build path Pawn the Original considers if he's been watching a bit of East Asia as well.
Yeah, I'm not totally against that at all. I think you can make it work here. As I'm looking at this matchup, ooh, that Invale almost catching Zio. It feels like he would have died there. He's going to go ahead and very quickly try to recall and get back out into the lane. But it's just the way it's going to play out. You say they're going to dive onto Hammy's Saw. Of course they are, but what does Hammy do at that point? I mean, does he stand his ground? We'll talk about that in a second. T-Tigers, he's on to Pawn the Original. Pawn juking around through the jungle here. On point lands. Give him a little bit of that barrier there. Faint of Heart. Give him that movement speed. Tiggs trying to prime directive his way out of here, but Rogue have collapsed upon you. Uh-oh, Evil missing the Githian wall. This is one of the poorest performances we've seen out of Evil in the recent weeks. I mean, just a simple thing there, but he's just missing some skill shots in the last game in this one. First Blood goes the way of Rogue. Tribe applying a little bit of pressure up in the lane, but looks like Hammy is going to be just fine.
You say he missed the Githian wall. Now, Evo's a captain. He's had to play captain in solo queue as well. And with that Githian wall, he secured himself a front treant. So I actually think he probably hit that Githian wall and just accidentally stole a camp away from Pawn the Original, which is something that I've my captains tend to do in solo queue as well. But it's not too detrimental at this point. And like you mentioned, what does Hammy do in these team fights when Tribe dives on him? He trusts very heavily in Evil's ability, and we've seen him just perform so heavily on this Lance. It's his best hero by far. Once he gets that Echo online, then diving against Hammy is a risky task because Evil's Giffian walls have been just spectacular. Hammy, very likely to go with Serpent's Mask build for the sustain.
Hammy, baiting backwards, healing flask. Yeah, you had to imagine that was a bait. A two-man impale and a suppressing fire over the top side. Pon will take the kill. Nice bait by Rogue there.
Very nice stuff as well. Pon the Original has 3 crystal bits in his inventory. He's not going to be going down an Aftershock first item build, but may prioritize a Dragon's Eye. Dragon's Eye is an item on Black Feather that I really dislike unless you're going up against melees and you want to be frontlining. And I think this is one of those exceptions. You know, Raki Zoro kind of mentioned it earlier on today about the Dragon's Eye, that the synergy with Crystal Black Feather isn't as impactful due to the fact that he's on point, is a 3-second cooldown, and Dragon's Eye requires that you're in active, you're active in a team fight and applying damage, and if you're not for 2.5 seconds, and you lose your stacks. So this is one of those games where I think you can go Dragon's Eye and be impactful. I think if he was to have synergized it with the Aftershock, even as a second item, and just get it into the build, then he can even be more impactful. Very likely he still goes the standard Shatterglass, Broken Myth, Clockwork, just so he can poke from range. But Pon the Original has to be a big burster in this game. A little bit difficult against an Alpha and a Rona, but it's something that he has to continue doing if he wants to be a threat to kind of keep Hammy safe in these team fights.
Yeah, I think it could lend to a kind of an awkward team fight if he does go that Dragon's Eye route, but there's a lot of gold actually in the pockets of Evil and Pon over here. We're 4 minutes in, they're going to be able to drop down into the jungle shop. It's going to be Fountain picked up for Evil here, and Pon just stacking up that CP.
Yeah, let's see what Evo builds second, if he goes straight for that Echo as his second tier 3 item, or goes for something perhaps a little bit different. I don't see a Crucible being as impactful unless he feels he needs to block Holy Novas. So if it's not Crucible, what is it? Maybe it is just Echo.
Tribe jump onto Hammy. Hammy just roadie runs, repositions himself there. Tiggs not quite catching with the Prime Directive in. I don't think he would have been able to find a kill anyway. You know, it does feel like sometimes if Lance doesn't get the stun against the wall and he just Giffian walls them back, you know, this Alpha is one of the stickiest heroes in the game, and he just jumps right back in. It's either a core charge or Prime Directive, and so while you can knock him back, he's just going to be right back into the fray.
Yeah, and this is why Rogue needs to pick fights in terrain that favor them. Hammy needs to stick closer to a wall than in the middle of the map. I think that's one thing Hammy could do a little bit better, is just push himself a little bit over to the side of the lane just to give Evo a better chance to find that Giffian wall. We do see Pon has gone for the more standard Black Feather build here. It is going to be a Shatterglass, so he can try and poke out the side of Tribe. This is the other way you play Black Feather into triple melee. Ooh.
Uh-oh, Zio about to hit level 6. They just square up on Hammy. Hammy stands his ground. He is able to heal for a little bit, but not enough as he goes down. This is Tribe getting themselves on the board there. And a nice little clean combo coming out. Max standing his ground against Evil. Bold moves here, Max. Max, the healing flask, he's baiting them in. Zio's locked onto Evil. I think we have our junglers playing games down in the jungles as well. Redness comes out. Looks like Evil's going to be okay. Tiggs chasing on Pon. Prime Directive not going to land there, but Tribe as 3 rotate down as the unit. This feels like a Crystal Sentry take to me. They're going to be able to get this mid camp, and I was wrong, you know, and I'll admit it. Happens more often than I would like. Tiggs, Prime Directive over the wall trying to reposition. Nice impale from Evol, suppressing fire down. Hammy's going to be able to be spun up here, but talking about spinning, Zio spinning all over Hammy. He's right in here. Hammy doesn't have a roadie run, doesn't have boots. He's chopped down. A nice Holy Nova out of Max here, trying to break things up right in the mix in the middle of Rogue. Crystal Sentry, of course, working for Rogue, doing a good job, but look at the sustain out of Zio. This is exactly what he wants, and actually he's going to try and take the back treant as well, Douse, to get a little bit of healing out of that. Uh-oh, that was stolen by Pon. Stolen, it was his to begin with. Prime Directive in. Oh, Tiggs able to find the kill on the Evil. On point doesn't connect. Hammy's gonna move forward, suppressing fires on Zio. Zio dropping solo, but look at the lifesteal. The lifesteal as he gets these camps, he's able to stay alive. They turn it around. Pawn dropping low. Rose offensive as he backs it up, trying to kite. Hammy's fully spun up. He just stands his ground, attacking Team Tigers in. This is gonna be Tiggs going down now. Rogue want to chase forward. You know they want to get some of these kills, but I think it'd be a bold move if they ran in there and they weren't spun up. Hammy's gonna pull off of it.
Yeah, no, that was a little bit of an unfortunate start to the fight. Rogue thought that they could go and just kind of face tank the damage that came out of Tribe. They kind of underestimate Dienzio and Max Green's diving potential. Grace and Rona very strong. Hammy had used the suppressing fire, so he had to use the roding fire to escape. Max Green, he's going to be okay. Watch him just Holy Gnova walk away. There's
Holy
nothing Rogue can
Gnova.
really do about it. And so, when you use suppressing fire at the beginning of the team fight, Humanist, if you then decide you need to disengage, you don't have a way to spin back up the saw. You have to make the very conscious decision if that is your... If suppressing fire is used, then saw is sticking in the team fight. You don't really have a disengage with that roadie run anymore. And so it was just really unfortunate that Hammy did decide to try and escape, because there wasn't really any escape from the super dive comp that we have from Tribe. He's gone Serpent's Mask first. Like I said, he probably would. Pon just dancing around in the jungle.
Little dance happening here, but it takes 6 to tango, Dowsy. That's a lie. Pawn dropping down, looking for an on point. We'll see if Hammy can keep the spin up here. He's about 40% on the spin up. He's going to reposition with the Rodeon. Realize he's gone too far. Who's over the wall? It's Zio over the wall into the red mist. He's just spinning away on Hammy, but Hammy stands his ground with the spin up. He's got the lifesteal. Who's going to find who? It's traded. Zio's down. Hammy's down as well. Carry's taken out here. Tiggs still has that ultimate available and ready to go. Both teams burned their fountain through their initial engagement. Tiggs just slapping Pawn. The big damage coming out here. You can see the aftershock doing a lot of work here for the Alpha.
Yeah, and it will continue to do so. Alpha, of course, very strong on this update, received buffs as well as Aftershock being buffed as well. Evil has finished that tier 3 item of an Echo, second as well. That's very nice for Hammy. Going to have a bit more peeling potential. Hammy desperately trying to get into a second tier 3 damage item for himself. He goes Serpent's Mask for the sustain, which I think is okay if upon the original is a decent enough damage threat. He just isn't quite there yet on the CP Black Feather. Needs to get that Broken Myth online before he really is starting to chunk out numbers. Also gone very heavily onto defense. Hammy loves to do that as well. He loves his defense on Saw, plays a very different Saw playstyle from Dienzio. Dienzio is all about the damage, Hammy's about survivability.
We'll see how it's going to work out. This is the battle of the saws. Tiggs is in. This is Evil getting lit up. Well, if you can't get the saw, just take the lance. I almost find the kill there. Evil able to survive through it. In fact, he's holding his fountain still. It's Nerves of Steel. A nice preemptive combat roll, dodging out T-Tiger's Prime Directive in there. You can tell Tribe ready to jump in, ready to fight. They have so many gap-closing abilities that you've touched on through this game. There's just no way to run once you've been caught. They have to stand their ground. They've done a great job so far. This is a dangerous situation. Hammy's level 6 weapon infusion starting to time out here. He's got a lot of gold to spend as well. If he gets caught, it's not the most ideal situation. Zio starts to spin, but gets knocked back. It's a little bit easier for the Alpha to close the gap, though. He's in Prime Directive. Max Green looking for the Benediction. Applies the Dragon Blood contract. Missed Impale. Max Green stands his ground with the Holy Nova. Misses that. Throws the Fountain to keep his team in fighting shape. But you can tell that Zio and T-Tigers have had enough here. They're going to go ahead and back up and probably wait for that Fountain cooldown, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and Fountain less of a cooldown on this update as well, which means it's not so punishable by the side of Rogue, but they should start up this gold mine and look to try and get themselves at least a gold advantage out of it. Breaking point purchase second by Hammy. He's going to be spinning up and stacking up at the same time. Doesn't do it as quickly as Arona. Another fight might just break out.
Oh my goodness, look at the AoE damage coming out here as Tribe just delete Evil. Huge burst damage. Now, who's going to take the gold mine? We'll see. Prime Directive in. Hammy getting lit up. Zio spinning with the red mist. He's in here. You can tell Zio really wants to play games, but 16 breaking point stacks for Hammy. Trying to stutter step. Zio starting to spin. Hammy stands his ground, gets the kill. But Tribe, are they going to get the gold miner? Yes, they will. A big decision for Zio to zone out there, but it secures the gold miner for his team.
Yeah, ultimately worthwhile for Zio. Yes, he gives Hammy a kill, but Gold Miner, that's 1,200 gold goes over to the side of Tribe, and now they're in the gold lead. And Evil didn't expect to be bursted down so quickly. Would have Fountain if he had thought that was going to be a death for him. Another great engage coming out of Tribe, and they're making things work here. Max Green's Dragon Blood contract, he mentioned it in the previous team fight, is just an extra bit of burst damage that goes onto Hammy. Nice little bit of utility on the Grace, and makes a lot of sense when you have melee carries who can get on in there and proc that burst damage from the Dragon Blood contract. Oh, I believe it also slows the...
What is it? It's like a 30% slow too?
Yeah, it's super useful utility, and Tribe have been making it work consistently. But you see Rogue trying to execute their playstyle here, and they almost did it perfectly in the previous team fight when Tribe tried to engage in the lane. Pon the original just pokes on this Black Feather.
I like Poke the original myself, Dowsy. Zio is in with Into the Fray, starts to spin, but doesn't stay on target. But guess who can? This is T-Tigers on the Alpha. He gets slapped back by Evil on the gifting wall. You can tell Tribe repositioning himself, thinking twice about it. Hammy's not spun up. Zio ready to get in there. T-Tigers, he's in, he's out. Prime Directives in. You want to get off that turret? Doesn't pop the Termination Protocol, and it looks like Tiggs has made a mistake. Suddenly, Rogue have a serious advantage here as they're in a 3 versus 2 situation. This is 15 more seconds before we're going to see Tiggs respawning. And Dowsy, what did Rogue take off the map?
I think they push turret here. That's what Sword does, right? It doesn't look like they want to do so. So a sentry is really the only thing they can take off the map, unless a half-full gold miner is something they fancy, and it isn't. So Rogue are going to get nothing for their troubles here, and that's really the worst case scenario. We now have an Echo finish for Max Green, so double Divine Interventions will come through. And unless Hammy builds a Poison Shiv, and I wouldn't recommend it considering he already has a Vampirism item, those items no longer stack that passive. There won't be any mortal wounds available. The N0T Tiger is going to get some massive healing, as always, from this Grace. That's kind of just been a staple pick this weekend. Rogue are at risk, very much so, of losing this game unless Pon the Original can find some more damage. Has that Heavy Prism in his inventory. That might mean he goes towards a second Shatterglass, really just to try and make his on-points even more impactful.
This game is absolutely nuts, and I'm so excited to be here casting this right now. What an incredibly even matchup. You look at the overall net worth, both teams just almost dead even, the same 6-5 in favor of Rogue. We're 14 minutes in. The next team to take a big team fight here is most likely going to be capturing up this Kraken, which is going to be spawning in about 30 seconds or so. Are Rogue going to probably try to secure a gold miner before that Kraken spawns out here? I don't know, actually, with Tribe shoving out the lane, they probably don't. They start to make the rotation up. Evo will be the front line for his team. A nice movement by Tribe.
Yeah, really nice stuff by Tribe, because it forces Rogue away from the gold mine. It's only 15 seconds. Tribe won't start it up. It's not worth their time, and Rogue won't get a shot at forcing the fight. And that's where Rogue want to start a fight, when they have a Lance with an Echo. Everyone full health, all actives available. That is the prime opportunity for Evo to really make some big plays. And so by Tribe forcing the lane, it didn't allow for Rogue to even start up that gold miner at risk of giving up an objective to the Tribe squad here. Kraken is now on the board. We look at the item builds and who will win a team fight. Things are very even between Hammy and Dienzio. Almost got, splitting image of a build together, going towards a Bonesaw third item to cut through the armor Evo has. It's a very peculiar saw build, basically playing it like a Black Feather or a Rona.
And this is Tribe starting to close the gaps here. Evil getting lit up right off the bat. Huge burst damage to come out onto this Lance. I mean, if you burst the Lance down, that's just fine, as long as Hammy's not taking out someone on your team here. It's going to be, Hammy has to get those breakpoint stacks up. T-Tigers, Prime Directive in. Evil knocks him back with the Kithian Wall. The whole team of Tribe goes in deep, but they missed their mark. A nice reposition there by Hammy, but his boots are going to be on cooldown. That's actually a very long cooldown here.
Yeah, no, it is, and that's something that perhaps can be punished. We'll have to see. This second item Echo that Evol prioritizes is so cool when Evol makes the big plays here, Humanist. But what it does do is make him very squishy in the mid game, and mid game wins games in NA North Americans Vainglory 8. These teams just play around this mid game so well and really like to execute around the 15-minute mark. That's when they decide who's going to win a game. And so if you're not tanky enough to take that impactful team fight, then that's a problem. Evo is just taking so much of the damage to the front line.
Uh-oh, look who's found Hammy. It's Zio. Zio quickly just switches over to Evil as Hammy moves back with that Roni run. It's T-Tigers in the jungle playing games with Pawn. Pawn actually susceptible to being burst down. Tribe fighting on two fronts here. And this is going to be Evil dropping down. Max misses the Holy Nova. Nice stun from Evil with the Githian wall there. He's dropping low, though. And a big Prime Directive plus Core Charge comes in from T-Tigers. He's dropping low. Is he going to throw out the Termination Protocol? He has to throw it because the Crystal Sentry would have popped him into Infinite Reboot anyways. So at least he's able to reposition himself really quickly. But that's actually... I mean, it feels like a big deal to not have the Alpha Ultimate here.
Yeah, but it baits Rogue into a false sense of security. They think, well, they just used Rico Protocol. There's no way they go for Kraken. They do. Rogue are going to check it. It's a fight over the Kraken here.
The zoning Holy Nova. Max dropping low. Pawn tried to find the kill, but wasn't able to execute him. Zio is with Hammy. Hammy stutter-stepping on the backside. Evil. He's got Zio rooted, but Zio starts to spin up. Red mist. He's found Hammy.
Oh, no.
The Kraken's still playing games. Pawn's down. Rogue have lost 2. And Tribers just switched right back over to the Kraken. They're going to be able to unleash the Kraken. And if Evil's not careful, he might go down here as well. In fact, I highly doubt Evil gets out of this one. This is an ace for Tribe as they blow this game wide open.
Wide open indeed, Humanist. Such bad shot calling coming out of Rogue. They were playing the game on two fronts. You cannot afford to do that against Tribe. You have to make one decision, and all 3 members have to be on board with it. Pon the original wanted to steal the Kraken, then he wanted to kill Max Green. All this time, Hammy losing his life to Enzio, and that poor shot calling, poor team synergy has cost Rogue massively. Kraken is now pushing down the lane. Tribe will want to look for another team fight around it if possible. Perhaps even dive this turret. They have to be careful of Evo.
T-Tigers has his ultimate. He's jumping right in. Does not care at all. Zio forcing Hammy back. This is actually the Termination Protocol popping the turret here. Zio forcing Hammy back. They're going to lose T-Tigers because Pawn able to get the execute on the backside. Max Green, self-defined intervention. Zio begins to spend second defined intervention comes through, keeping him alive. Hammy repositions with the Rodi run, but he will get dumped down. Max Green, the hero killer. Carry killer? I don't know, Dowsey, you tell me how it plays out. Nice
He's the carry killer.
Max able to get in there. The carry killer, Max Green. Oh my goodness. But a double stun out of Evo. Max Green drops the turret aggro. He'll stay alive, but Evo gets one of his own. That'll be the ace for Rogue as successful defense, but they are just living with a sliver of life.
Well, this is the Kraken, and Evo can't take it down by himself. 10 seconds remaining on its saw. Another Vein Crystal turret with 4, and Tribe have cracked open the base here. What an impactful push coming out of Tribe. No turrets taken. 5 turrets taken. Just like that, in a snap of a finger, Tribe have blown this game wide open. And like we mentioned, those mid-game team fights in North America just so impactful, decides the winner so often. And Rogue, poor communication, poor direction in team fights has let them down. They are living on a thin edge now, Humanist, almost ready to plummet to their demise. They're going to have to play these next team fights perfectly. Pon the original, by the way, prioritizing a Dragon's Eye, so he really does want to be that front line melee CP Black Feather threat, which is a bit of a mouthful and a bit of a weird one. And he is going to be able to clockwork as his 4th damage item, which means he's not going to be very tanky at that. So he has to be very careful about how he plays. This next team fight could be a win.
Yeah, this is Tribe looking to close the gap. They got the Atlas Pauldron off right on the bat now. Hammy throws down Suppressing Fire. He's going to be spun up, ready to go, but T-Tiger's locked onto Hammy, and he has 2 lives.
Wow.
But he doesn't pop the Termination Protocol. Hammy just stutters, stepping Tribe down, making the plays. He stands his ground. Zio gets the Divine Intervention heal. He jumps in, but peeled off right on the bat. Hammy, he's not spun up this time, but he jukes back to the other side. Zio gets another massive burst of healing. Evo will find the 2-man stun. Pawn over the top side. Pawn making the huge plays, maybe making the smart build with this item build here that you were talking about, Dowsey, as Rogue find a very important ace, and they now start up the Kraken themselves.
Yeah, you say Pon making the plays, that was all Evo making the plays on this land. Giffian Wars impales just the tip. catching that Rona
all you
and
need.
stopping up. It was very impressive stuff from Evo, and Pon the Original, of course, performing his role perfectly, following up this CC lock that Evo performed. Kraken has been taken. I don't like... Just a small criticism. I don't like the fact that Rogue took that Kraken so quickly, because Hammy is a Saw. He's not going to really be able to waddle his way down to join this Kraken super quickly. Does have the journey boots now, so maybe tier 3 item can get him there just in time. Since they've taken that tier 2 turret, it is going to be the choke point turrets contesting. This team fight will be the win, you'd feel, for one of these teams now. If Rogue get the ace, they win the game. If Tribe get the ace, they win the game. This is it, Humanist.
Oh my goodness, deep breaths here, Dowsy. This is about to be intense. Benediction in Prime Directive. T-Tigers, he wants Hammy. Hammy's pretty much spun up at this point. He turns around. Big damage coming out. T-Tigers into Termination Protocol. Zio, he's locked onto Hammy. Hammy spun up on the backside, trying to stutter step backwards. They've lost T-Tigers. Remember, Kraken's still marching down to the choke point turret. Max Green almost falling. He'll self-divine intervention here. Zio right back into the fray on top of Evo. Evo, he's in combat roll over the wall. Hammy just trying to find a kill on the backside. He's in a dangerous place. Get the wall, buying a bit of time. An Echo on that combat roll. Zio, another heal coming out. Zio begins to spin. Evo still alive. Hammy marching forward, trying to take down Max Green. He's got 8 seconds left on his boots here. Zio, he only has eyes for Evo. Evo only has eyes for getting the and wall stuns. Another combat roll. Zio will find 1 kill. Now Zio spinning with the red mist. Hammy trying to repossession over the wall with a Roni run. Who is this guy? Hammy, one of the best Saw players in the world, making the plays. He jukes away! 1 turret. Oh my goodness, it's on to the second one. Hammy stays alive, just juking through the whole jungle like a magician. Oh my goodness, have we got a game on our hands?
We do. We have 2 Vein Crystals that are so close to being exposed. This tier second last turret didn't quite get cracked open. What do Tribe do? 20 seconds on Evo, almost performing the greatest escape of Vainglory history. Wasn't quite able to get away with his life, but he saved the game. He delayed the game, and now we get another team fight to dictate who wins here. Upon the Original, is he caught? I don't think he is.
2 war treads back to back. They have 2 war treads on this team. A nice strategy move here. They're going to go straight for the Vein Crystal. T-Tigers from downtown. Prime Directive. He's on the Vein Crystal. Zio starts to spin. 1 stun comes out. Can they find the damage? Hammy trying to find the damage. He doesn't have enough. Tribe have done it unbelievable right in front of Rogue's face. They come right through the front door.
Yeah, that was impressive stuff from Tribe, knowing that Evo would not be there to stop them walking in the base, and that Evo would spawn just as they get to the Vein Crystal. They figure, we're tanky enough to take this Vein Crystal down. We got eyes for the win, and Tribe, they